G'day everyone. So I'll take you through a bit of a story about what we've been doing in transport and technology and how we've gone about it. But I think that for us, the key words that we really want you to hear is open, interoperable, partnership and reuse. And everything that I'll show you today really has those four principles behind everything that we do. So, with all good things, let's start with a video.
Transport's important to everyone. And now there are massive improvements underway, including over $50 billion of investment. And the plan is to make trips faster, easier and safer. It's all about having connected roads and public transport network across New South Wales that has higher capacity. One that gives us the freedom to choose how and when we get around, no matter where we live and work. To get us there, the latest technology is being used every day. Look at what's changed already. There's more and more information available everywhere. Tickets have gone from this to this. So now you can use your Opal card, phone or credit card to pay for transport. More real-time info is available at the touch of a button. More choice. With public transport we can book that comes to us and takes us where we need to go. Soon, even our driver's licence will be digital, so we'll always have it with us. But there's way more coming to New South Wales in the future. Driverless technology is being trialled with cars and trucks right now across the state. And the new Sydney Metro with driverless trains is just around the corner. New intelligent technology in our motorways will transform the way we move around the state, managing traffic flow and providing quicker travel times. And drones will help respond to incidents, monitoring tracks and roads to keep us safe. In the future, transport will be much more personalised to how we choose to travel, from the moment we leave our house until we reach our destination. Technology is changing everything and improving transport.
So what you saw there was a lot of technology transforming the customer experience, and when we're doing anything at transport, what we're trying to do is really to pull two levers to improve the customer experience and reduce our operational costs, because running transport is an expensive exercise. And we do it through those principles that I just talked about before. Now, how did we get there? You know, what was our process of working out what tech to do and why to do it? When Minister Constance became our Transport Minister back in 2015, and he looked at the portfolio of transport that was being invested in, one of the things he was really very keen to make sure that was done right was that anything we do with technology is future-proofed and done in the right way. So we thought long about that, about what's the right way to do this, how to bring it to life. And we looked at a couple of different options. One option was to pick up the phone to a consulting house like a BCG or a McKinsey or one of the four and say, what should we do to put transport at the centre of, technology at the centre of all things transport? But actually what we decided to do instead was we looked out in the startup community, in industry and our employees, university students, and we looked across that broad spectrum of folks and went, actually, they've got all the answers. They know what we need to do. So what we decided to do instead was to bring everyone together over a couple of days in 2016 in a program that we called Future Transport Technology. And we asked all the participants one question. If you were the Secretary of Transport, what would you do to put technology at the centre of transport? And for those non-government folks here, Secretary is basically your Group Chief Executive. So we asked everyone to imagine that they had that role and what would they do. And over a couple of days, we got them excited about what was possible with some really great speakers talking about different areas of technology. And in the afternoon, we had a big design thinking session with all the participants to extract out all the ideas. Sitting over the top, we had a panel guiding us through it, and we were lucky enough to have David Thodey chair it for us and shape what it needed to be. And through the course of 2016, we went and did that program We did the same for university students. We ran a entrepreneur hothouse for all our 25,000 plus employees, asking them the same question, with $1 million micro fund to take 40 ideas through the proof of concept. And all of that resulted in the Future Transport Technology Roadmap, which you can download at futuretransport.nsw.gov.au. That's all your homework. You can even watch the YouTube video and see Steve Wozniak in his sneakers talking about what the future unveils. Very helpfully, he didn't know too much about public transport, but anyway. Basically, what all of those participants told us was a few things. The first thing is technology itself doesn't matter. It's all about how humans engage with technology that drives disruption. And we don't know, they don't know which way technology is going to shape and go in the future. But broadly speaking, there'll be 5 customer strategies that we need to have a good think about and 4 key usage scenarios that we need to be mindful of. The first one being my autonomous car is king, and this is where there's a future where we're all being shipped around cities in autonomous pods. There's the next one, which is we're all in this together, which is all about active and public transport and making life choice decisions around where we live, work and play around public transport hubs. The supercommuter, which again was all about this idea of mobility as a service, if you've seen that. And then why travel so much, which is all about the actual, those 30-minute hubs that you've seen talked about in New South Wales. And all of that guided 5 customer-facing strategies, which you see there on your left. And for us, one of the key learnings from everyone was this is good. You can see the different futures ahead of you. You can develop up some strategies about what you need to do. But the important thing is once you accept that you don't know which one of those strategies are going to come to life first, what you can then do instead is focus on what we call no regrets initiatives. So these are things that we should do no matter which way the future looks. And in that video before, you saw a lot of them. You saw us announcing our Smart Innovation Centre and pardon the pun, getting autonomous vehicles out there on the streets and trialling that technology. The most exciting one of those for me has been at Marion Grove up at Coffs Harbour. We've actually put one of those autonomous shuttles in a retirement village, and the folks in the retirement village actually book their autonomous service through a company called Veer On Demand. They book it on their phone, it turns up, and they take them down to the bingo. But it's better than any other way to do it. In fact, I would go on it a fair bit myself. But that's one example. Our open data platform that I'll talk about in a moment is another. Contactless payments that you saw there, everything around real-time data, all of that came from these no regrets initiatives that you see there. Our intelligent congestion management program, the on-demand services that you just saw there. So one of the things that we've kind of reflected on in terms of strategy development for both the industry and the public sector is this idea about being comfortable about not knowing which way the future is. That's okay. And what you need to do instead is focus on those no regrets initiatives to position yourself so that no matter which way the future goes, you're ready to unlock its potential. And when we looked at those no regrets and we came up with no regrets, we really had those principles of open, interoperable, partnership and reuse in mind. So let me walk you through in detail some more examples. Our open data platform. So we actually launched this for the Future Transport Technology program when we announced it. And on here, you can get our journey planning APIs, you can get all of our real-time data. We've shared how full buses are in real time, how full the trains are in real time by carriage, traffic camera data, you name it. If we can put it into open data, we will. And probably the most exciting part for me, and if this event was a week later, it would be 4 billion API hits. So we're like, oh, so close. But one of the big learnings for us out of open data was the spirit of partnership. Because what we learnt through opening up our data was that opening up the data itself didn't really mean anything. It was about how you activated the startup community and industry as a result of opening up that data. So one of the great wins for open data, I feel, on our website, if you go there, is actually to join the forum and share ideas and best practice about how to design really good customer applications, as well as planning applications and all sorts of things. I tell the story often that the weekend that we launched open data, and this is again one of these fear factors that everyone goes through, is we've got a government policy to open up our data, and all government departments will, but the progression and the speed that they'll do it at will always be guided by the operational constraints or concerns and worries about what they're doing. And one of the things that we always had to be mindful of was open data really drives accountability. And so when we went to launch it, I kind of went to everyone, it's okay, you'll be right. Put it up there, good as gold. That weekend when we launched it, we had a university student, eating pizza, drinking beer, went off and created a Google map and plotted onto that Google map every public transport vehicle and made it glow red when it was running late. And I came in Monday morning, I was like, oh no, how much of it's red? But actually, it was not so much was red. And actually, in terms of accountability and the openness in which we engage with all of our stakeholders, it was actually a really good story to tell. We ended up hiring him, why not, as an intern, and he worked in our open data team for 2 years before he kind of got plucked up and put into the world of high-paying data science. But our minister, Minister Dominello, they love his product. They showcase it all the time. And it was something that we didn't invest in or buy or do anything like that. We just simply created the conditions for that to exist. When we went to show how full our trains were in real time, we weren't prescriptive with our partners, our app developers, on how they should do that. We simply showed them how full these carriages were and the outcome that we were looking for, and they worked out how to best represent that data and show it to customers. So that spirit of partnership and openness is something that we have seen have a real positive impact on the customer experience for everyone that uses public transport in New South Wales. Sometimes, though, we will take what's open and we'll reuse it, and there'll be some experiences that we can't open up for matters of customer protection, and that one example is the Opal card balance and topping up funds on your Opal card. There's an incredible amount of trust in the Opal card system, and that's just one part that we wouldn't necessarily open up. So we have invested in our own app experience. We don't do many apps, not very, like 1, 2, that's Opal Travel's one of them. But what we did do is, we had created an ecosystem of third-party apps out there, but what we wanted to do with Opal Travel was to take what we know about the Opal card and enhance it with journey planning and provide an enhanced customer experience to our customers around that. So we introduced a lot of features into Opal Travel that were originally designed from customers with accessibility needs. So for instance, if you do a journey plan with Opal Travel and you press go, when you're 3 stops away, it will send you a notification on your phone to say you're coming up to your destination. 2 stops away, it will send you another one. Then 1 stop and to your destination, it will then say time to get off the service. Now we put in features like that for customers with accessibility needs. But actually, if you've been on the train and you've fallen asleep, like me, what you'll see is that you get this notification, you kind of wake up and you go, right, time to get off. We've also integrated into here real-time disruption notifications so that when your service is disrupted, you get a notification about it, you can click on the link, and then we'll serve to you a new journey plan based on the conditions of the network to get you to where you need to go. So this is in the spirit of reuse. Now, the other thing that we decided to do was when we looked at Opal and we think about the customer value chain of how they use public transport, this plan, book, pay, travel, provide feedback, and rinse and repeat, it was really, really hard to open up anything around Opal. So what we decided to do instead, and we knew from open data that opening up these platforms only creates goodness in the customer experience. So what we did was we actually looked at the Opal system and said, how can we enhance it further? And we decided to make a bet on contactless payments. And in the spirit of everything that you've probably heard here today about minimum viable product, customer trial, proving up proof of concepts and all that sort of good stuff, the contactless payments program was all of that. We started in July 2017 on a single ferry going from Manly to Circular Quay. It was the most basic of the propositions. If anyone's done Manly to Circular Quay, it's tap on only. There's no tap on, tap off. So the logic was really easy to build. It was one fare. There's no different fare bands that we needed to worry about. And we did it with one card provider, which was MasterCard. We then expanded that MVP into light rail and ferries, so all of light rail, all of ferries. So we introduced tap on and tap off capability, which in the Opal fare rules, there's a lot of complexity behind the logic of the fares. So just working through that was the right way to go about it. And then later on that year, which was November last year, we rolled it out across all 308 train stations in the Sydney, Greater Sydney network, and everywhere from Newcastle down to Kiama and out to Bathurst. And what we've done there is we introduced the day capping features of Opal. We introduced the fare table to be the same as the Opal card. And then about 3 weeks ago, we then made the last part of the announcement, which was that the contactless payments card is now priced with the travel incentives to be exactly the same as the Opal card. So you can make a choice as a customer whether you want to use your preferred debit or credit card or continue to use your Opal card. And we announced that we'd begin the rollout across 5,500 buses. Now, once we've done that, and we've targeted that by the end of September, we've inadvertently created Australia's largest contactless payments network. So we're like, just pip Woolies, like by this much, 22,500 readers. And the great thing about this payments platform is if it's a 16-digit debit or credit card number, we accept it. So it doesn't matter what the form factor is, whether it be a phone, a watch, a ring, a normal card. However the form factor innovates in the future, we're out of the box ready. And that's one of the great things about this kind of open and interoperable approach to technology investment decisions. Had we done something more proprietary, every time Apple released something, every time Google released something, we would be updating our system continuously. We're here, we enable it straight out of the box. The other great thing about what the payments platform does in the spirit of openness and partnerships is the banks can now compete with each other to be the first transaction of the day. And banks believe that if they're the first transaction of the day, the card that you choose, you'll be more likely to use that card for the entire day. So they're keen to compete to get that. So they have been offering our customers, and it's only going to ramp up, incentives to use their card instead of someone else's. And this is something that's completely funded by the banks. We don't do anything about this. But what we do like about it is it encourages customers to choose public transport more often. And it makes it a little bit easier for them to choose public transport. Bendigo Bank, by way of example, I think it was back in March, every Tuesday it was free travel. American Express would offer customers $15 refund in a week of travel, if I get that right. Westpac, we're currently doing a donation of a meal to, I think it's Mission Families, one of the key charities. Around every time you use your Westpac card, they would donate a meal. And so we really like this idea of open and interoperable and partnerships we think contactless payments brings this to life. So we're quite excited about it. So you've got the openness of our data combined with the openness of our payments, which then leads us into more and exciting things that we can do. So once we've got both of those things open, we can begin to build experiences for ourselves and through partnership through others. This is an example of one that we built ourselves. We were asked over Christmas to enable customers in Kiama and Ulladulla to have the same experience as folks in the city, where they can see in real time where their services are, and they could use contactless payments to pay, and the school kids could get an SSTS card, which is the free school travel card. This platform, built on AWS, we built it, I don't know, 4-6 weeks, 2-3 sprints, probably 3-4, out of the box, as stable as they can come. It's been going great, but it was only possible, and we're only able to do that because we had already made these investments in these open platforms around data and payments. A lot of the payments for this, we use all the gateway services that we have on our Opal contactless payment system. The data, we feed it all into open data. So automatically in our and third-party apps, you begin to see these services. So when we launched it, it was available to all customers straight away. That's one example. The other thing that we've done, and this is part of the No Regrets initiatives, was we made a decision to really double down on partnering with the startup community. And so we created just above Wynyard Station in Sydney, Jobs New South Wales has created the Sydney Startup Hub. If you haven't been there, you should go. It's a great place to spend a bit of time. And basically, it's 11 floors of startups. There's a couple of corporate accelerators in there, but it's mostly startups. And what we did was we took a little bit of space on the 11th floor, where the purpose was to bring the startup community and industry together and think about transport problems and create new and emerging business models that they could trial here for, at no cost to us or a very little cost to us, but they could scale globally. Because if you've got a problem with transport in Sydney, you can be sure that that same problem you can find in Melbourne, in Brisbane, in New York, in Singapore, in London. Transport problems are transferable to any city in the world. And so we believed if we created the conditions where the startup community could come and really see under the hood about what are the problems that we're trying to solve and why are we trying to solve them, that they could begin to maybe pivot a little bit away from fintech and begin to think more about transport tech and what's possible there. So in the spirit of making that happen, we actually teamed up with industry partners. AWS, of course, Cisco, Commonwealth Bank, Deloitte, Google, KPMG, MasterCard, Microsoft, Optus, Telstra, and we established a global alliance with a government incubator in San Francisco called the City Innovate Foundation. And the whole point about this was to share the ideas around transport problems. And the space itself is all about design thinking. So instead of going straight to solution mode, let's spend 80% of our time just thinking about what's the problem that we're trying to solve. And then let's do it in a way that we've engaged the startup community. They're sitting with us. They can see how new business models can be created, and they begin to spend time with us. And we've used this method to activate a segment in transport many, many times over the years. The digital learner logbook, as an example, where kids who are getting their driver's license can do their logbook now through a series of apps, none of which we have built or run. They're all third-party apps, and we simply have opened up a particular aspect of our system to allow communication back to us about whether the hours have been completed or not. A lot of these startups really value our endorsement of their product. So we really take that seriously, and we look at everything that we can do around solving transport problems and get them excited about what it is that we're trying to do. So this for us has worked, and what we're seeing across government is a lot of other departments are looking to lift and shift this type of idea, and we're really excited about what's possible. So some examples of what we've done with startups is, I'll show you, I think I'm showing you three. The first one is, this is HyperAnna. Is it HyperAnna here? No? Let me tell you all about them then. So HyperAnna is basically, what we were trying to do with HyperAnna was, how do we begin to, it's a little bit cliched, but how do you begin to democratise insights around the transport system within the government department itself? You know, very often people kind of think of analytics as those people over there, and it's not something that they feel comfortable owning and doing themselves. So with HyperAnna, we wanted to bring that to life. And HyperAnna basically lets you self-serve whatever insights that you want. There's some limitations around it, so it's not a silver bullet for everything, but in terms of just beginning to make insights and analytics more accessible to the executive and middle management of transport, this is good. And again, HyperAnna is a startup based in the Sydney Startup Hub. The next one is VisitLyte. I see Chris right there. How you doing, mate? So now I've got to say something good, right? But VisitLyte have been working with us across a number of different things. And again, I would classify VisitLyte as a startup. You know, in our world, it's startup. But the idea of connecting our data with their ability to do analytics and again, make it easy and accessible for folks across transport to use it has been something that's been really special and has worked for us. So we've used VisitLyte in our rail operations centre. And this example here is actually showing you, it's essentially a playback of what happened yesterday on our network between Hornsby to Central, Tallawong to Chatswood. And what you see there, a lot of this is open data, and it's just being fed in a different way. So you'll see there the train services, these are the train numbers, all available on open data. The stations and how full the trains are, again, that's weight data. But then what Chris and the team have done is they've taken the data and they've begun to transpose it to have it so that we can begin to make inferences of how many people are waiting on a platform in real time, how many people are waiting, how many people are in a train in real time when weight data is not available. And this, again, is just a great insights tool for our executive to begin to look at. And if you look at this, you could insert any station in New York, any station in Singapore, any station in London, and you could get that same experience. And so this is our point to the startup community about what's possible. Now, our last example is good, I promise. If I can. You got it? Up here, right, there you go. Maybe there's the next slide. There you go. So there's the Cortino folks in the front. Maybe you guys can do like a Mexican wave. So what the Cortino did for us was they created what we call a near real-time dashboard. And what they've done is, if you see there, you've got your different modes of transport up the top. Up on the top left-hand side, you've got the real-time number of customers on our network right now. You've then got trips for the day, throughput of trips happening at the moment as taps per minute, boardings, active customers, intermodal transfers, a live dashboard of the number of bits of feedback that we've got from our customers right now, our call center in real time. And then what the guys did was they took, using SageMaker, right? There's your plug, AWS. You're welcome. And what they've done is they've used SageMaker, they've ingested a year's worth of Opal data, a year's worth of weather data, a year's worth of special event data. And what you see there is essentially two curves. The top one there is volume of customers by time, and the red is the actuals for today. The blue is same day last week, and the yellow is their prediction for the day, right? Then underneath that, you see the same for tomorrow. So what's tomorrow going to look like? Now, why is this important to us? Because we want to know what operational response we need to prepare for the afternoon peak. We want to know as soon as possible in the morning peak and what we call the interpeak, which is between 9 and 3, what type of operational response we need to prepare and by what station. Now, this is the executive dashboard, but what the guys have also done is provide us a drill down into each station. And again, our operations staff can begin to use this as well as our executive. The great thing about this is we can log in at any time and just see what's happening on the network. Now, why is it near real time and not real time? The reason is the Opal network that we've got is based on a technology that was built late 90s, early 2000s, before the iPhone was even invented or thought about. So the best that we've been able to kind of extract out of that system is probably in about 5-minute increments. So it's near real time, and sometimes it takes a little bit for taps to get through to our system. So that's why you see the red there, and it's kind of dropped down a little bit. If you waited half an hour, it would play catch up and lift itself back up again. So what I wanted to do through those 3 examples, HyperAnna, VisitLyte, and Cortino, all of which are AWS partners in the startup community, is just show you about when we open up our platforms, when we make them interoperable, when we really and sincerely partner for success of both the startup and for us, it works. And we get really good customer outcomes that improve the customer experience and get customers to choose public transport more often, which is what we're in the business of trying to do. So with that, thank you. And yeah, cheers.